What is going on, everyone? Today we're going to be talking about February 25th college basketball slates. Let's start off by Georgia and Vanderbilt. But before we talk about it, make sure you like, subscribe, comment, and share this to one friend. March Madness is coming soon, and I'm going to be sharing my bracket when it happens. Last year, I had a 98 percentile bracket. It was 99 percentile until Duke decided to lose. So we're going to run it back this year, and we're going to go for that 99 percentile, all right? So Georgia versus Vanderbilt. Let's go. So this game currently, Vanderbilt is favored by 9.5, all right? And I think that that is the right thing to do. They're at home. Vanderbilt is 14-3 at home. Georgia does a pretty good job away, 6-3. However, Vanderbilt is better shooting by 2%, and also they're better at the three, better at the free throw line, and they turn the ball over less. Now, where Georgia might dominate Vanderbilt is that offensive board. However, I looked at some of their previous games, and they allowed Florida to beat them by 20 points at the Georgia Bulldogs Stadium. Now, Vanderbilt is a really good team too. I know they're not really that, usual top 25 team that we think about when we think college basketball, but they are capable of beating this team by 10 points. I'm going to pick Vanderbilt to win by 9.5. The next game is going to be Florida Gators versus Texas Longhorns. I'm going to be picking the Gators to cover the 6.5 spread. Now, again, Texas, not bad, 6-4 last 10, but the Gators are 9-1 last 10, and they're 7-3 last 10 covering the spread, whereas the Longhorns are 6-4 covering the spread. Now, when we look at points, they both score a lot. Florida Gators scoring 86 points per game, the Longhorns scoring 85 points per game. However, I see the Gators dominating the Texas Longhorns underneath the rim on the offensive rebounds, the defensive rebounds. Florida Gators are averaging seven more rebounds per game than the Longhorns. And that's how I think the Gators will cover the spread. I'm picking Gators to cover the spread. All right, the next game that we'll talk about is SJU versus UConn. This game, I feel like I'm taking... The next game we're going to be talking about is SJU at UConn Stadium. They already faced each other once at the SJU Stadium, where SJU won by 9 points. Now, currently, SJU is 10-0 last 10. UConn is 8-2. And I feel like SJU will cover the plus 4.5 spread at the UConn Stadium. Now, SJU is better by 2% on the free throw line. But when we watched that game, the previous game that they went against head-to-head, we can see how much that 2% made a difference on that free throw line, right? I think UConn only made like 5 free throws out of 12. And on the other hand, SJU was at like 70%. That's a big difference. I'm not saying SJU will win, but I wouldn't be surprised if they pulled an upset. So I'm going to be safe, and I'm going to take the plus 4.5 with SJU. The next game is Nebraska versus Maryland, where Maryland comes over to Nebraska Stadium. Currently, Nebraska is favored by 18 points, and I'm going to be taking Nebraska. The reason why is because this Maryland team sucks. They're 2-10 away. They're 4-6 last 10. On the other hand, Nebraska is 6-4 their last 10 and 16-2 at home. This shows that at home, they really win, okay? 18 points is a lot to cover. I get it. It's a Big Ten game. But when we look at the stats, field goal percentage-wise, Maryland is only at 40%. That is horrible. Nebraska is at 47%. And I think this is where it's going to make a difference. It's the steals. Nebraska is going to force Maryland to turn the ball over. They're going to hold the tempo of the game. They're going to go fast if they want to go fast. They're going to slow it down if they want to. I don't think Maryland can keep up with Nebraska in the long run, not with that bad field goal percentage and that away record. The next game that we'll be talking about is Arkansas and Texas A&M. So the Arkansas will be home, and they're favored by 7.5 right now, and I'm picking Arkansas to cover the spread. The reason why is because I feel like Arkansas is the better team. They're better at the three. They're better field goal percentage-wise. Now, free throws, they're about the same, but what I think will make the difference between Arkansas and Texas A&M is the turnovers. The Texas A&M turns over the ball way more than Arkansas. Arkansas being at home, they're a great, phenomenal team. I think they cover the 7.5 spread. The next game is Mississippi versus Alabama, and I'm going to pick Alabama to cover the spread. Currently, it's 14.5. I think they can do it at home. Mississippi is 3-7 last 10. Alabama is 8-2 last 10, and they just got into the top 25 recently again. Now, they're not going to want to get out of that top 25 anymore. They're going to want to dominate these games. When we look at points, Alabama's offense is so much better by 14 points than the Mississippi. Sorry. They're better at the three. They're better at the free throws by a lot. Mississippi team stinks at the free throw line. 67% only. Now, turning the ball, Mississippi turns over the ball much more than Alabama. Alabama will out-rebound them. I just think overall, Alabama is more complete. I don't think Mississippi has a chance against Alabama. I think Alabama covers the spread at home. The next game we're going to be talking about is Gonzaga versus Portland. This is going to be a good game. Not because Portland is good, not because Gonzaga is phenomenal, but just because it's a revenge spot at home and it's interesting. Portland pulled a crazy upset and beat Gonzaga. by 7 points. Is it 7 points? Let's see. Yep, 7 points. Not happening tomorrow. Gonzaga is going to destroy this team. However, I still believe Portland covers the plus 26.5. You can make it more safe and go plus 30. It is so hard and so rare to see Gonzaga beat a team by that much. I think the way they play is just slowing down the game. They don't care about destroying a team, hammering them. They just care about winning. Gonzaga is the much better team. That was a fluke game. I don't know how they lost to Portland. Portland is suck. They're bad. They're 1-11 away, okay? They should lose this game. But by 26.5 though against Gonzaga, I don't see that happening. Call me crazy. I'm picking Portland to cover the spread. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you leave a like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you guys next time.